rebel with a cause, just a girl up with a thrill. Wandering through the shadows, never knowing what to feel. I thought I was a shaman, master whispers in the night. They underestimated, tried to keep me from the light. But I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Do you whisper in the dark, that's like if you wanna see. Figure out how to treat this water, take it if you're free. Loopholes, riddles, victims asking why. Justice brings some grace, echoes pierce the sky. Oh, but I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Take very love, keep a smile in the ground. The roots grew deeper and we made a sound. I'm the who took it, who never stopped the fight. Reversing the shadows between truth and light. Throwing balls and victims, they won't be ignored. I'm here for justice to settle the score. Through trials and whispers, I grew stronger with time. What was hidden from me now sings in rhyme. Oh, but I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Answer the call.
Greetings, brothers and sisters from St. Lou is Sif, her. She is Sif, she is Donna, Lou is her. Lucifer. Lucif is her, and healing to you. We're in the matrix, so in some ways it's easier to operate on the magic energy levels. And we just send a vril vibration to you. March 16th, 2026, with tension in the air, certainly. War is fun, according to the clown in Washington. The old makeup-faced clown dancing for the bankers in that stupid ass dance. Now that the wolves have shed their clothing, there'll be less. Yeah, now that the wolves have shed their clothing. But we're going to get right to our reading. Nietzsche and the Eternal Return by the last avatar in the time after time, the Matrix, as we call it. Maria is here with us, of course, office manager, always keeping things moving, keeping them progressing forward, and we thank her so much for that. And she's the one telling me what to do, where to go, the direction, readings. I didn't really expect to just be reading, but I'm doing the best I can. And I'd do anything for her. Miguel Serrano. We're just picking up where we left off, and we didn't read the whole small book, but we read most of it. Or we are going to read most of it. This is something like just the preface of this, I guess it would be sort of like a chapter, but it's really like one big long poem in a way. But when I seen that, the giver of meaning, I just heard Maria's voice saying to me, the truth is, there is no meaning to life unless we give it a meaning. We have to create a meaning. We have to create a story. We have to risk knowing that we're in an illusion, the matrix, and it's no real risk. But it sure feels real, doesn't it? Is that why there's a thankfulness in your heart that you're not quite sure who to thank? And now that you've realized a universal God does not exist, a universal personal God, whatever you call it, doesn't exist. And people like energy exists, right? Call it energy. Don't call it God or source or none of that. As far as I know, there's no source to this. It's always been here. You, I, everything living, including the planets. That's why the real myths start out and they say this is an allegory about the planets going around the sun. You might say, why, Joseph? Why? Well, what do you mean? The planets and the sun are eternal, meaning they had no creation. God didn't create blah, blah, blah. It's always been here. Check it out for yourself. Question things on a serious level. They say energy is not destroyed, it's just transformed or transfigured, and they say you're the observer, that no matter what, when you observe, you change what you're observing, right? Shamanism is based on plants becoming to you what they always are, people. Not the same way like you. There's human people, there's plant people. And someone might say, are you saying each single plant is a person? Yes, in its own way. And they're different than us, then they have a easier collective mindset where they're one with all of their species, right? And shamanism is about the plants as observers, as the observer of you. And they amphimorphize, they become vessels for the gods, the master teachers who are on another level. And Maria, she told me the greatest art is to give meaning to your life. Like your life is your art, but you have to make it, choose for it to mean something, right? And this chapter is called The Giver. Well, it's not really a chapter, but The Giver of Meaning. I walk among men as fragments of a future I see. Should I read that again? I walk among men as fragments of a future I see. My efforts amount to this: to be able to gather and recompose these fragments and everything that is enigma and terrible chance. And how shall I bear to be a man if man were not also poet and diviner of riddles, the savior of fate, right? How shall I bear to be a man if man were not also poet, diviner of riddles, the savior of fate? To be able to reproduce the world that is nothing more than a consequence of chance, saving the entire past and saving everything that was to make what must be. This alone can I call salvation. Let me read it one more time. To be able to reproduce the world that is nothing more than a consequence of chance and accidents, saving the entire past and saving everything that was to make what must be fate. This alone can I call salvation. Saving the entire past, saving everything that was to make what must be is Atlantean Hyperborean salvation. Because you're a God over yourself, you can do it. Man is a shapeless thing, a matter, a stone that needs a sculptor. O men, for me, inside the stone is a statue that sleeps, the statue of statues. Why must he sleep in the most terrible and hardest stone to make the absurd life appear as the supreme wealth? I want to introduce an imperative of creation into science. The impulsive necessity to create a being that exceeds our species. A faint shadow has visited me, the shadow of the Superman. What is this ghost but a being that does not exist, that man presumes, but that indicates the meaning of existence? Man presumes, but that indicates the meaning of existence, right? This Superman. This is the freedom of every desire, or rather, of everything arbitrary, right? This is, right? Becoming the Superman is the freedom from everything arbitrary. Love resides in the end, in the vision fulfilled nostalgia. Nietzsche does not believe the meaning of existence is in the circle of eternal return. No. He replaces the innumerable chances with magic creation, with the action of creative poetry. And he says, science is a dangerous business. Science converted into poetry, I think. You know, this is Serrano speaking. Science converted into poetry, I think. True science. Nothing is further from Darwinism than Nietzschean conception of the Superman. Do you hear that? Nothing is further from Darwinism than the Nietzschean conception of the Superman. This latter is a pure invention or creation nearer to Lamarck than to Darwin, but nearer still to Teilhard de Chardin than to any other, since his emergence depends on ourselves, our own individual effort. This takes place at the new sphere, to use the term of Chardin. Nevertheless, to tell the truth, this is close to no one, not even to Chardin. Nearer would be the Oriental understanding, Hindu or Chinese, and the doctrine of Maya, the great illusion, because everything is illusion and phantasmagoria, a pure invention of the man, the magus, the poet. Within the circle of hazards and fortuitous combinations of energy and light, there is a stone. There is something that nature has left incomplete. As the alchemist would say, and the sculptor, the magus must go to complete it. World, what else do you want than to be invisible within us? Rilke, I don't know who that is, but what a great quote. World, what else do you want than to be invisible within us? Because why, class? The real world is nowhere else but within you. This affirmation of the noontide, the Superman, is at bottom a similitude of meaning, a divine comedy, or a capital divine capital comedy. You hear that? Thus, the affirmation of the noontide of humankind, the Superman, is at bottom a similitude of meaning, a divine comedy, a divine capital D, capital C comedy. There is something shapeless, something that spins, a shapeable matter. We shall call it meaning, coming not from reason. You hear that? Not from the intellect. Something completely impossible, since that does not interpret the intimate ghost of instinctual life. All right, you hear that? You get that sentence? There is something shapeless. Shall we call it capital M, meaning? Coming not from reason, not from logic, not from the intellect, something you figured out. No, coming from something completely impossible, since that does not, coming from something completely impossible, since that does not interpret the intimate ghost of instinctual life, something completely separate, but from the highest inspiration and concentration of energy, from the highest tonality of the soul that is possible to achieve with our lives, with our will to power, with an idea that comes from the depths, from the true creative capital I idea. Thus, man, within the circle of eternal return, seemingly has two arbitrary possibilities: two freedoms or wills, also seemingly. Right? Two freedoms or wills, that of giving meaning and that of suicide. You hear that? Thus, man within the circle of eternal return seemingly has two choices, two freedoms or two wills, seemingly with a question mark, that of giving meaning and that of suicide. No other being in creation would have them, seemingly. And to give meaning to the maximum greatness allowed, right? If you're going to give it meaning, and to give meaning to the maximum greatness allowed. This is the true artist. To give meaning to that which has none. Love me for I desire to be, not for who I am. You hear that? To give meaning to that which has none. Quote, love me for who I desire to be, not for who I am in this avatar. Eternity herself must be invented by man by means of an idea that comes from inspiring ecstasies from the depths. At the end of this game of light on mirrors, what remains? Question mark. Does something survive? This is the doubt. Father, why hast thou forsaken me? That Nietzsche resolves this with his apology for the fool, the art of acting, and his exaltation of the Dionysian. Right? His apology for the fool, the art of acting. This is what's going on. Everyone's true self is a magician. Either they're concealing it to deceive you, or they haven't realized it, or they're evil. And that's why you don't know of them, because you're good. Is everything comedy? Everything? Question mark? I'm telling you, man, Maria told me before I ever read this that, Joe, the people who are doing this are literally, when people die, they tell them, we were just kidding. There ain't no Jesus. There's no universal God. And we were just scaring you. We're just kidding. It's just a joke. And that is what she specifically showed me, if you want to know, was the end of the movie, The Watchmen, when the two God and Satan figures watch the entire city be destroyed, and they just say, like, it was all a joke. Ha ha ha. Right? Is everything comedy? Everything? Would the eternal return also be a similitude? Because we're in the Matrix. A great imposter? Yet another game of cosmic mirrors? Is this how we're to understand it? Everything is fucking repeating? Is this a fucking joke on us? Is this the great joke? Let me read that sentence again. Is everything comedy? Everything? Would the eternal return also be a similitude? A great imposter? Yet just another game of cosmic mirrors? Does life really suck this much that shit's just fucking repeating over and over? We do not know. We do not know. You got to find out for yourself. Nietzsche took the secret with him to the bottom of the sea. In any case, it seems he believed to give meaning to what has none was the great mission of his life. In the invented end resides nostalgia. In the invented end resides nostalgia. One must invent a purpose for a few. The remainder is insignificant. What meaning is not given by individuals because energy already does not pass through them? Then the energy becomes gregarious, confirming the law of reasonable progress, not the law of change. And thus occurs slavery in reverse. That is our, what we call, time. You hear that? The remainder is insignificant energy, truly. One must invent a purpose for a few. The remainder is insignificant energy. This is exactly what Maria was explaining to me in 2011. There's 3 types of people: the good, the masses, and the evil. And the masses are just completely insignificant. It's just a straight war, individual to individual even, of truly evil people against truly good people on a mental, astral level. When meaning is not given by individuals because energy already does not pass through them, then the energy becomes gregarious, laborious, confirming the law of reasonable progress, not the law of change. And thus occurs slavery in reverse. That is our time. Curious to see, given this great reverse, how we have become almost what Nietzsche fought against, the affirmer of life in her Dionysian aspect, the negator of the negators of life, the inventors of what does not exist, also proposes something that does not exist and that he knows will never exist because it is only a creation, an invention in which nostalgia resides. It may take a while to understand that sentence. A a histrionic dowry, a surreptitious introduction, a similitude within a similitude, within the circle of hazards of eternal return. That's actually what we've been explaining over and over on the whole podcast. You know, your life has been repeating. I know it sounds crazy. It sounded crazy to me when I first started, but it's real. Right? A similitude within the circle of the hazards of eternal return. Or did he believe the invented meaning goes forth from the highest tonality of the soul as a medium of higher powers that is more real than everything else, more real than what you knew of as real. Then every chance, then every fatal repetition of the hazards of the circle more real than reality, because thereby this is irrevocable once and forever. As the verse of Rilke says, and Serrano says, because the non existent flower is more flower than all the other flowers, because creation can only create through man, because it is only through our creation that there is now creation. Thus, individual fortunes are changed within the circle into destiny, into necessity and desperation, even into amor fati, fate of amor. There is no chance in my life. Nietzsche wrote to Streidenberg shortly before his end, my chances are full of meaning. Chances full of meaning, or what Jung would call 50 years later, synchronicity. And hail to the moon goddess Donna, the original sin. And it is synchronicity with her that makes life so. Okay, so we're continuing on with the long explanation of the why our year. I say the year room, all the words that you think of, because it says from the ancient ancestors, it says to you, think of the end. It's already happened, right? I didn't know there was a cat back there. And kind of doesn't matter where we left off. Oh, well, I guess it does matter. Because it's a new, I use the word in a positive light, a new religion, a new foundation of truth. It's, complex as your own soul, because it's very, it's the like bottom line truth for us, where like the laws of nature and your personal story meet. That's what the magic of the runes is. And the runes have the fate of your life built into them by you. And at the end of your life, you may psychically or astrally put them in the order that you just lived. And that would be a sign that you don't need to return and repeat your life. So let us go on in the book. Adolf Hitler, the ultimate avatar, by the ultimate artist and the last avatar, Miguel Serrano. All right, reading from page 348. The Hyperboreans saved the Grail, the golden fleece and wisdom preserved in the memory of their blood. Some of them took refuge at the other pole in the hollow earth, in secret cities they themselves had built there in the emerging Andes, when their clairvoyance foretold to them what was coming, when the Maga Aluin prophesied it. They sent messengers to the other pole and asked, Are we allowed to live among you? And the white gods who were already there opened their arms to their comrades of blood and war. So began the exodus of the Hyperboreans who remained on the surface. They mixed viras, semi-divine men, in the polar Nordic islands on islets in Greenland, England, Helgoland, and Highland, Helgoland or Highland. A great majority descended towards the Gobi, a fertile land in those days, and developed a great life there, whose remnants could be found much later in Siberia. It was a civilization of giants who must also disappear from unknown causes. No one knows. And they have discovered traces of atomic radiation in the disinterred fossilized objects there. You hear that? Exactly what Lou and Maria has been telling me. The giants ended in a nuclear energy war. Weapons were so advanced, they had a weapon that could turn off your heart in a radius of all, everyone in the radius. But the ice continued its march on the heels of the Hyperboreans. Violently, it came upon Siberia, freezing the mammoths in just a few seconds. Professor Worth believed the Jews could also trace their existence back to the civilization of the Gobi. If this was so, then the hypothesis must be seriously considered of an explosion or an atomic war provoked by them too in the eternal return. The symbolic legend of the wife of Lot and the statue of salt would be a reference to this. The Hyperborean Dropas, the giant Hyperborean Dropas, magicians, shamans, are the founders of the roof of the world, a paradise, a paradisha in the original Tibet, as well as in the most ancient Chinese civilization. There they brought the rune book of the I Ching, and also to Ireland, where a degenerate trace of the same would be in the magic language of the tree, Ogam, the bow of Tibet before Lamist Buddhism, would also be a decadent, degenerate trace of the wisdom of the Dropas, the giant wise men, preserving the leftwards swastika with which the Dropas sought to return to the first Hyperborea. And perhaps they did, because it is there, returning through the gate of Venus by the black sun, where the highest siddhas have gone. And this is the your rune is directly interacting metaphysically, astrally with the Ajna chakra. The Ajna chakra coincides with the pineal gland. This gland has atrophied in terrestrial man in the most recent eras. The lost power of vril is there, the third eye of the giants, enabling us to see the worlds and beings of the fourth dimension and to open the gate of departure from the demiurgic universe, the great liberation. On activation of this chakra, the astral body awakens and we consciously enter into opposite worlds. Hear that? Its element is ether, and its animal is the white elephant. Resurrection, the metamorphosis of the elephant, right? Resurrection, the metamorphosis of the elephant at the root of the Muladhara, the earthly elephant, which grows two dove wings. In other words, Parakletos. Its mantra is Om, OMAUM, Aum, and the Hyperborean trilogy. Its mantra is Om, the Hyperborean trilogy, Nordic polar, Wotan, Frigg, and Balder. Husband, wife, and son, the true trinity. Esoteric Hitlerism adopted the leftward swastika as the clearest sign of its ultimate intentions to return to Asgard, first to Valhalla, polar Hyperborea, to return to the Golden Age, to straighten the axis of the Earth, and then go to the Hyperborea of the green thunderbolt, astral, to take the astral Earth there and defeat the demiurge, Lord of Darkness, to be we, so we can be we. The war is against the ice of the enemy to be dissolved by fire. This column is pure vril, E-R, E-R rune. The Vola Maga has also prophesied, or perhaps it was Aluen, one day the Führer of the white race will guide his furious hordes, his wilds here, out of Asgard, beyond cold and torment, to return to the garden of the golden apples of Iduna. And he will resurrect Balder. The Führer of the Aryans will come mounted on a white horse with 8 legs by the name of Sleipnir. He will also be called Kalki, and he will also be Wotan. He will now come to conquer, rescuing the last of his warriors, the imprisoned heroes of the darkest stage, with the 8 legs of his horse. He will crush the head of the Fenrir wolf, Fenrir, and he will defeat the ice of the enemy. He will put an end to the age of the wolf, for he himself must live like a wolf cub. Nor does the ice take possession of the world just once. It comes, goes, and breaks forth again. These are the distinct ice ages. The roar of the storms and falling waters, sounds, voices flew into the realm of the giants. The race of Ymir or Thurston already lived far from the former sun. You hear that? In the high north, they bit at the giants with frost and storm. The wolves and bear were their friends. The wolves and bears were their friends. In Muspelheim was Gerter with his flaming sword. He saw how the cow Adhumbla licked a block of ice 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Thus the work was ended, and a man came up out of the ice. Right? A beautiful cow licked the ice, and a man came up out of the ice, beautifully formed, like a creation of the gods. Finally, there is the Father of the gods, cried Goethe. Okay, and all of this corresponds to the Saras, Sarasrara, Sarasrara chakra, right? The Sarasrara chakra of 1,000 petals. Its element or substance is purely spiritual. Here, the magic wedding of Shiva and Parvati, Wotan and Frigg is held. In truth, of Kundalini, the dead beloved, who is not alive, who is not dead, the sleeping beauty, and the I, Ida, in Pangala, she and he, she, and she, she, and she, he, they've become we. This chakra is at the peak of the invisible cranium, perhaps coinciding with the pituitary gland. In sacred geography, Hyperborea Nordic Polar, this is the island of Helgoland, remnant of the submerged continent of the North Pole, the island of magic weddings, eternal, inhabited by Poseidon, the bridegroom. From this chakra, we ascend towards the pole star in the deep firmament, the column going beyond the sky, Ermin Wotan of the Yggdrasil tree. The Ermin soul. Its mantra is Saham, I am she. Beyond the Sahasrara chakra, we encounter the Sunya, the void, which is not void, the indescribable, the black hole, the black sun, opening the way to the green thunderbolt, to the non existent flower, more real, nevertheless, than all the flowers in the garden of the whole earth. The Rosen Garden of Midgard. The mantra is Ha Ham Sa, Ham Sa, Sa Ham in reverse. Without caste, without varna, without color, beyond Saham, beyond spirit, in what does not exist, in the green thunderbolt. We, the resurrection with square pupils. This is the resurrection of Baldur. And remember, we left off with finally, there is the father of the gods, Kragurta. After the destruction of Midgard, the earthly Hyperborea, everything began again from ice. And so the ancient Nordic sagas seem to describe it, because Midgard would have been destroyed by water. The waves rose like mountains, crashing against the solid walls the gods built on the edges of Midgard. At times, the walls gave way, and the waters burst within, inundating the green valleys. When did all this happen? The Hyperborean chronology is confused. You hear that? Displacing times at a distance where time almost ceases to exist. The battle against the ice is not limited to Earth. The terrible combat had already begun in the constellations above, because everything we can contemplate with our eyes of the flesh in the visible cosmos beneath the new light pertains to the dominion of the Lord of Darkness, the dominion of the Lord of Darkness, the Matrix. And there must be the fight. The sons of fire and the light of the black sun. The fight of the sons of fire against the light of the black sun. Hosts of Lucybell, warriors of Wotan. In the end, when everything was almost done in the world of the demiurge and the winds swayed, the virgin forest Hyperborean man was created. In fact, earthly materials were only used to incarnate the already divine Aesir. Wotan, Honar, and Loki, the three brothers, came together by the seashore. Two trees grew from the side of a gentle hillock. Ask, the ash, the emblem, the elm, Imbla. The divine ones drew near their shadow, and from there they wandered to the view, the scenery of wide and green Midgard. And Wotan said, Midgard, the garden of Arctic roses, awaits its gardener. Let us create beings from those trees which resemble us in form, spirit, and soul. And the divine three created a man from the ash and a woman from the elm. Wotan gave them life and breath. Honar gave them intelligence and movement. Loki gave them the senses, emotions, blood, and the color of white, blue, and the ability to speak. Before his eyes, the pair appeared in divine beauty. Ask and Imbla took each other by the hand, and before the eye of Wotan, they walked with jubilant hearts towards the mysterious green Midgard. So the divine Aesir spilt them to reproduce radiant Asgard to the terrestrial Midgard. This is like coming from Venus to the Matrix. Did I say spilt? I meant split. I'm so sorry. So the divine Aesir split them. Ask and Imbla, the divine Aesir, split them. They were he, she, and she, he. To reproduce radiant Asgard on the terrestrial Midgard. From the first Hyperborea, they projected the second. From the first Hyperborea, they projected the second, the matrix. From the spiritual column of the tree itself, they formed their divine pair in their own image and likeness. In other words, in the likeness of the runes rediscovered in the Your Man Soul tree. So began the new combat in the land of exile, and onwards it was descending even further, and on falling lower, mixing with the daughters of men, the Hyperboreans contributed to their own defeat on purpose. With the coming of the destruction of paradise, of Ask and Emblem, the destruction of truth and life, Balder, Apollo, the northern continent, Altland, sweet and green Midgard, the field of battle besides the earth now became the interior of the hero, the Vira, but half divine. The YR year rune, the says, think of the end. It's already happened. Let me read that one more time. The field of battle besides the earth now became the interior of the hero, the Vira, but half divine. We'll be
Found a rebel with a cause, just a girl with a thrill. Wandering through the shadows, never knowing what to feel. I thought I was a shaman, master whispers in the night. They underestimated, tried to keep me from the light. Oh, but I saw them, I control every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Do you whisper in the dark? That's like if you wanna see. Figure out how to treat this water, take it if you're free. Loopholes, riddles, victims asking why. Justice means some grace, echoes pierce the sky. Oh, but I saw them, I control every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Take very nice, keep a smile in the ground. The roots grew deeper and we made a sound. I'm the who took it, who never stopped to fight. Reversing their shadows between truth and light. Throwing balls and victims, they won't be ignored. I'm here for justice, to settle the score. Through trials and whispers, I get stronger with time. What was hidden from me now sings in rhyme. Oh, but I saw them, I control every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made their game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? I will cause now be buried like the ground. Fighting for the voices, trying to drown. There